When I purchased shares in Cable Bahamas is offering a service that I appreciated. And I thought, seeing that it was something new on the block, it was interested enough for me to be a part of it. They have a chance to be the number one, particularly in mobile field. You have already earned the right to be the next provider. You've earned that from Joe Public, from the Bahamian people.
The government now observing talks between Baha Mar and its contractor. 4 months after she was charged with her husband's murder, Donna Vasili is granted bail. An 18-year-old young man is the country's latest murder victim. Plus calls for the F&M to hold a convention this year. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and MV12 starts right now. Topping news tonight, the government has agreed to observe talks between Baha Mar and its contractor, China Construction America. This as the parties try to reach an agreement to get the Cable Beach project completed. While it is unclear how much time government is giving parties to reach a deal, it is still moving ahead to secure provisional liquidators, a move government called precautionary. Meantime, one cabinet minister is hoping a resolution is found soon, while another is encouraging struggling Baha Mar employees to seek social service assistance if needed. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Now that Baha Mar has committed to continue negotiating with China Construction to secure an agreement on the completion and opening of the resort, government is giving the parties a little more time. However, in a statement last night, government suggested that it will be watching very closely. That statement read, the government and Exim Bank will be observers in those meetings. Should Baha Mar and China Construction America agree, they will then negotiate with Exim Bank the financial terms required to support their agreement. The government of the Bahamas will also be an observer in these negotiations. It continued, once financial terms have been agreed, we anticipate that all party talks in which the government of the Bahamas will be an active participant can reconvene, leading to an agreement that defines the terms of the construction and financing for the resumption, completion, and opening of Baha Mar. This just days after Prime Minister Christie said the Exim Bank had expressed to him Baha Mar's lack of flexibility in this matter and their unwillingness to accept the sensible solutions offered to them in Beijing. Baha Mar has maintained that it never left the negotiating table. But the Attorney General has already filed a winding-up petition in the Supreme Court against Baha Mar, seeking to bring it under the control of Bahamian courts. The government is seeking the appointment of a provisional liquidator to manage Baha Mar's affair, with a view to getting the stalled project completed and operational, and last night called the winding-up exercise precautionary. Baha Mar is said to be 97% complete. Free National Movement Deputy Leader Peter Turnquest called the government's petition premature. However, outside of cabinet today, State Minister for Investments Kalis Rold said he doesn't necessarily agree.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but everybody has their opinion on the issue, and they're free to present their opinion in the public's domain. We're taking advice from the lawyers in this process and making the decisions that are necessary.
Right now, Rold says he really just wants to see the whole thing resolved as soon as possible, as the world is watching.
Generally, most investors realize that a project of this magnitude can run into problems. It's an ambitious undertaking, and everybody has their eyes on the Bahamas now, and we're working as quickly as we can, using all of the devices at our disposal to try and bring this to a speedy resolution.
And while uncertainty lingers for many Baha Mar workers concerned about whether they will still be employed in August, some have already begun looking for another job. Social Services Minister Melanie Griffin said if Baha Mar employees do stumble upon hard financial times, they are welcome to seek assistance from social services.
I cannot specifically say whether there's been anyone approaching social services as yet, or if they intend to from Baha Mar. But the government, through its social safety net system of social services, stands willing and able to assist, our people wherever possible in situations like that or others.
The winding up petition will be heard on July 31st. Baha Mar filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in Delaware on June 29th. It is seeking approval from a Bahamian judge to recognize the Chapter 11 proceedings. Now, these cabinet ministers remain very tight-lipped today when asked about Baha Mar. They say they're just going to wait to see how things play out in court tomorrow morning. Again, Justice Ian Wander is set to give his ruling tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Reporting from the Cabinet Office for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
The Baha Mar debacle is a disappointment and reflects badly on the Christie administration and the nation, according to leader of the Democratic National Alliance, Branville McCartney. He said today, based on government's decision to file a winding up petition, it's obvious that negotiations have fallen through and the move is a last resort.
This whole Baha Mar debacle is a shame. It's a disappointment. In terms, and it's a bad reflection on our government and our country by extension. This was to be the PLP's ace in the hole, so to speak.
McCartney said in his opinion it's unlikely the development will come back as Baha Mar, and he questioned how Baha Mar employees will be affected by the winding up petition. He also questioned whether or not government will continue to fund the resort's payroll and for how long. And noting the Prime Minister and government remain involved in the ongoing talks over the Baha Mar project, McCartney suggested the impasse says something about Christie's leadership.
It requires a question to the Prime Minister: what do you consider intimately involved? Running the country, by extension, being intimately involved in running the country, is that the same way you're running your country? Because the fact that this development, which is the largest in this region, has really come to a standstill, and it's very unlikely that it will come back as Baha Mar now.
McCartney further charged the Bahamian people were deceived by government as to what exactly was going on in the Baha Mar negotiations.
We as a Bahamian people, we were led down, we were deceived. We were deceived by this government. This government indicated on several occasions, and I do recall, even as recent as over a month and a bit ago, the Prime Minister in the House of Assembly saying that he had good news regarding Baha Mar. A few days later, Baha Mar filed Chapter 11 in the United States. 2 weeks after that, comment in the newspaper, the Prime Minister said, in short order, things will be dead good. A few days after that, the government filed for winding up. It's very concerning as to how this country is being led. It's concerning because what is said by this government, we as Bahamian people, we must take with a grain of salt.
The DNA leader added the fact that Baha Mar was allowed to develop in one phase was a mistake, and the country should learn from this. Well, the widow of well-known Australian podiatrist Philip Vasili was this afternoon granted $200,000 bail. 54-year-old Donna Vasili was charged with her husband's murder back in March. Prosecutors say she stabbed him in the neck at their home in the exclusive Old Fort Bay community on the 24th of that month. Justice Bernard Turner today delivered the decision of Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs, who was ill. Isaacs had denied Vasili bail on 2 previous occasions. In the ruling, Isaacs said whether she appears for her trial may have seemed a difficult question on her first or second bail hearing, days and weeks after her arrest, respectively. But there is much more gravamen to the applicant's assertion that she will, including the fact that she has family, 2 homes, and a business in the Bahamas. Additionally, as her case has taken on a certain notoriety, it appears in her home country of Australia, as well as in America. I expect as she has a son that lives in Florida, those countries, I assume, would not welcome her before her trial is disposed of. Having no antecedents there is no reason to think that she will be a danger to society while at large. Isaacs also observed that Vasili had become much thinner than when he first saw her. He said it would be a blight on our prosecutorial system were she reduced to a chronic state of ill health. Death while in custody always results in a national spectacle. In this case, it would result in an international one. Isaacs ordered Vasili to be fitted with an ankle bracelet, to report to the Lyford Key Police Station on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays before 6 p.m., to surrender her passport, and to reside at Ocean Drive in Old Fort Bay for the duration of her trial. However, prosecutor Neil Brathwaite plans to appeal the decision, and Vasili remains in prison pending the appeal. Justice Turner will rule tomorrow at 3 p.m. as to whether notice to appeal results in an automatic suspension of the bail order.